You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, Charge Hayner at Zoom the TBT, and we're continuing our Peoria regional preview. Charge, big day today. What are we thinking so far?
Yeah, no, huge day. I mean, we talked about it in the previous segment, but we won't talk about it here too much. But Tubby Time is out, and the Chicago Hoopville Warriors is in Peoria. So kind of some game-breaking stuff there. Tubby Time looked to be a good team, and so Joe Chapman, our guest today, GM of the champions Golden Eagles.
I think he's the head coach. He doesn't want to do that GM. He's just trying to. You're the coach, right, Chapman?
Yeah, I'm the coach.
My bad.
You're good. You're good.
But by the look at your face, you weren't aware of the Tubby Times thing yet.
No, I have not. I've heard of that. But I know Hoopville very well. That was our first opponent when we first got into TBT, 5 years ago. So, I know that opponent really well.
Yeah, and they pushed you too.
They did. That was our first time playing, and a lot of Chicago guys. We grew up there, and a lot of guys knew us. So it was a fun experience playing those guys.
Yeah, so we'll see how they do. I mean, that's a team that a lot of respect for them, and they're going to have to come out and be ready to play on short notice. But yeah, this pod, these four teams, is probably one of the strongest in the Illinois regional. So tonight we'll talk about obviously Golden Eagles, the defending champions, taking on B1, the buy-in team. And Hayner, I know you're really strongly opinionated on this 8-9 Team Brotherly Love and Jimmy V.
It's the second biggest seeding mistake in the whole bracket. The only other mistake that's worse, I think, is the one in Columbus with the 8-9, the Mackey and Volunteers matchup. I think Jimmy V is credibly seeded around 9, but they're a very good 9, so they're a dangerous 9. And Brotherly Love is at least 3 to 4 seeds too low, at least. And Mr. Chapman, I think I will ask your reaction. We saw Brotherly Love as a potential second-round opponent. What was your feelings on that?
Well, I just feel like they getting underseeded. These guys have made it to quarterfinals. They represented TBT well every year. They got a strong core that's been playing together for a long time. They deserve better than this. And they're going to come out ready to play. They're going to always have a chip on their shoulder. They're from Philly. They play hard. They play aggressive. So I don't understand how in any region that they're 8 seed.
Yeah, what's interesting is I think some teams chose Illinois because early on it looked like it may have been one of the easier regionals, and then obviously you got the defending champs, and then Boeheim's jumped in there. Illinois picked up Brandon Paul and got really strong, and so this went from what people perceived as one of the easier ones to probably one of the hardest regions at the top. Those top 3 teams are head and shoulders above probably any other regional from a 1, 2, 3 standpoint. Yeah. But looking at your team here, obviously you guys are going to bring back a core of the team. Obviously losing Darius Johnson Odom is the biggest blow. So hopefully he'll be I believe I heard he got injured overseas. Yeah. He's recovering.
Yeah, he did. He unfortunately tore his Achilles. So that was a big part of our team. We wish him the best. He's still a part of our group chat. He supports us. He's always the one that's always talking on the group chats to continue to buy into how we play as a team and as a culture. So he's still with us. He just have to sit out this year.
What I love about this roster, and again, I hope he's doing better, by the way, but I love about this roster is the fact that you have this great mix of, you have every sort of chip done. You have mostly alums. You have a couple of grad transfers, but mostly alums. They're all playing at high leagues. You don't see a lot of low leagues. You see a lot of Italy, a lot of Turkey, a lot of France in there. They're all starting games. They're all playing 25, 30 minutes a game in their international leagues. They're all scoring a decent amount of points, and they've all played recently. So really, you have a roster of people that are professionals, current professionals, can play multiple styles and have high-level basketball. So what's it like being able to have a roster this loaded to play with? How do you handle doling out your minutes?
Well, and that's the thing about a veteran team, that the minutes come by. These guys are how hard they play, the continuity, the culture. They're happy for the guys that's coming in. When you win a year, everything's better, and everyone believes in each other a little bit more when you win. I believe the continuity of our roster from year in and year out makes us dangerous because we always have a core of 7 to 8 players that always come back to play, even from the original team to now. You got a core of 4 or 5 to 6 players that's been here. that's been playing. So that gives us an advantage there. And this is a veteran league. I know a lot of people bring in a lot of young guys, but it's a short game. It's like a high school game, honestly. It's very short with that Elam ended. So you want veteran guys who understand how to play and who play on big stages, play in big leagues, and who is willing to give up good shots for great shots.
Yeah, and then one of your pickups this year, I think Marquette fan has been looking for Vander Blue to play in this TBT for quite some time now. So this year was the year, right time, right place for Vander. So how excited are you to have him on the squad this year? What's he going to bring to the table?
Yeah, very exciting. You always need a guy who can get downhill, create his own baskets when need be. And he'd bring us another wing defender, and also a guy who is experienced. That's the key to it. He's not a younger guy who's looking to still make a name for himself. He's a guy who's had a hell of a career in the G League. I think second all-time leading scorer. He's just had an unbelievable career, and he's now on a team full of veterans who's all got one thing in common, and he makes us that much better, and we have that much more depth.
So looking from the perspective of your opponent, now obviously being a 116, you're the heavy favorite and against a bye team to boot. But is there something, a unique challenge about playing bye teams? Because one, they've got nothing to lose. I mean, hell, they've already lost 20 grand, right? So they've already lost something. And B, you've got very little tape on these guys, I assume. So how are you scouting this team?
Well, I think as everyone knows, that first game is the hardest game. It's butterflies, it's rhythm, it's continuity, it's getting the flow of who the other opponent is, because there's no tape. So that's the hardest part. I think us as veterans, we know to look at YouTube to try to find tendencies of players instead of how they play. You try to just scout out how, their tendencies are as players and try to put that together as a game plan.
Yeah, and go back to your roster a little bit. I mean, looking at some of the 3-point percentage just in the last leagues your guys played, obviously the 3-point contest was announced, and I believe everyone's had to declare their entrance. So, I mean, just about anyone on your team could probably enter that thing and have a chance to win it. So have you guys ready to declare who your 3-point shooter is?
Yeah, we haven't declared yet. I mean, for us, we're a veteran team. So I go back to, the possibility of like, hey, what if we are out? You still got to go to Ohio to continue to go play. A lot of guys like, I don't know about that. So we're still trying to determine who wants to do it. We still got a few more days to decide, but we're still determining who wants to take that on, and whoever does it needs to split it with the rest of the guys too. So
Yeah.
we're still determining 3-point shooting is the way of the land with our team, and obviously with TBT. If you can shoot the ball, you're always in the game with the Elam in it. So we want to surround ourselves with 3-point shooters. You see at the 4 and 5, we usually play Jamil and Elgin, guys that can really shoot the ball. So it really stretches the floor for guys who can penetrate and kick or penetrate and get to the basket.
Yeah, let's just put Rousey in there. Let him know that I made a decision for you. And love to see G League guys getting the spotlight. And that guy can shoot, man. So.
Oh man, yeah, he's one of the elite shooters. Once he gets hot, I mean, it's hard to guard that guy. And that's the beauty of our team. Any of these guys, if they get hot on any given day, that's why it's the next man up mentality with us. I always preach to run your route, regardless of who's in there, play hard, because the next guy is just as talented.
Absolutely. So Milwaukee's not a very long drive from Peoria. You think you can take this orange crowd and make it a little bit more gold and blue?
Yeah. When we went down to Peoria a few years ago, in our first TBT, we had a great crowd. And I think that's what stuck out to us, is the fans traveled to come see us play. And being in the bubble last year, we haven't had a chance to experience the crowd, experience the championship with the crowd. So we expecting, our crowd to show up. It's a lot of, Chicago is the #1 fan base for Marquette alums. So we should have a good crowd.
Yeah, no, one of my best friends, going way back to my early 20s, guy I worked with, he's a big Marquette fan. He's been following TBT forever. So my buddy Scott Mate will definitely be watching and cheering you guys on. So just thinking about, the defending champ name. So obviously you got a mark on your back. Everyone's coming to knock down the champs. But from you personally, as the head coach of these guys, is that, do you feel the pressure of being defending champs, or is it a confidence builder that you've had I think it was 2 great runs and then winning it all? So how do you look at it?
Well, we still got a chip on our shoulder. Just like you said, we went to the Final Four one year. My first year coaching, we went to the final game against Ohio State, and then we won it. We feel like we should have won 2 in a row. So right now, in our mind, we're still hungry for winning another one, so we can put our name and put our stamp on this tournament. So that's the drive is still there. The one is still there. The guys are still wanting to prove themselves.
I got to ask one quick question, Coach Chapman. This is just a sort of I'm a design nerd, and you guys had a logo change at one point. We discussed a lot on Twitter, in fact. And you guys were very briefly the Ultimate Warriors, which you guys heard, I think, of somewhat deserved backlash. I thought it was surprising because the Golden Eagles team is a team that literally never screws up. And their biggest screw up in the last 3 years was probably one of branding, which I found shocking. Like, what was the decision of potentially changing that name?
Yeah, so one of the things that went about it, we had the seagull as our logo. And, we're a Golden Eagle. So we want to try to revamp the seagull. And Marquette was the Warriors back in the day, so we wanted to come up with something cool with the Warrior brand, and we threw the name Ultimate Warriors just because it's the ultimate of the Warriors as far as the 7 of the alums or 8 alums being a part of the Warrior staff. But after seeing the backlash of obviously the person behind it, of what went wrong with him, it was an easy decision to revamp it a little bit more and make it more cool.
And thanks for answering that, because I think it was interesting. Because it's interesting that like a team that literally in the Golden Eagles that never messes up. I mean, you guys are the most buttoned up, tight, solid team in TBT the last few years. I found that kind of surprising. So thanks for answering that thoughtfully. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Charge.
Yeah. Before we get over to the matchups, obviously, anytime we talk about Marquette and players eligible to play in the TBT, D-Wade always comes up. So when you going to yank him onto the court? Obviously, we know he's a big TBT fan and watching and tweeting about TBT every year. But when we're going to get him to show up, assistant coach, how are we going to get him involved eventually?
I think we're getting closer. I mean, every year he wants to be involved. We text him here and there, and we always ask him every year, hey, man, you ready to play? I think if we wasn't in a bubble last year, it would have been a good possibility. 2 years removed now, his knees are feeling better. He's like, I don't think about even playing anymore. So, I texted him a few weeks ago, just joking with him, like, hey, man, the guys want you to play. It's like, well, my knees haven't been sending any text messages lately about how hard it is. So I think I'm gonna stay on the retired side for now. But we might get him as an assistant coach one day, or he might get bored and want to play again. But we're always asking, and he's always responding, and he really respects the guys that's playing. Obviously, he played with myself and Travis at Marquette, so we have ties with him, and he's been a great advocate for TBT.
And really briefly, Coach Chapman, you guys played back in the CUSA days then.
Yes, we did.
So you personally tortured my Memphis Tigers. I remember some of those games. You guys beat the living hell out of us when you were on the court. Like I don't think we won a game. That was like the John Calipari early junior college transfer years. We didn't have the horses hang with you guys. You guys are beating the hell out of us.
Yeah, that was a great conference, actually. I mean, from the top 10 to 12 teams, there was so many teams in it, but the top 10 to 12 were pretty stacked. And Memphis was a great team. I mean, Coach Cal coached his butt off. But those early years, he had to work his way to being good. But
that definitely makes sense.
He got to be a powerhouse, though.
So, Coach Chapman, have you started scouting the other matchup, the Brother Love Jimmy V matchup? I guess we've had them both as guests. We can kind of be short about this matchup because we've had both the lads on from both teams. They're friends of the pod. Is your only hope facing such good teams to get an easier matchup that they just beat the living hell out of each other?
Yeah. The hope is, number one, that it's a good game where they got to run a lot of their stuff. I think as a coach, you want them to run as much stuff as possible because there's no days in between. It's only one day that you have to play again. So you want them to play hard, to play physical, come out to a grind out game. You don't want any blowouts. And then less than 24 hours, they're gonna have to play us, where that's a tough task when we watch them play. I believe we play first, so we get a chance to watch them second. So that's always tough. But look at the rosters for these teams. I mean, it's unbelievable talent. For this to be an 8-9 matchup, this can easily be a quarterfinals matchup.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, by the way, Coach Chapman, you got to watch your room, because on an earlier show, Vinny from Jimmy V was talking about he's so desperate to beat you guys, like slipping something in hotel rooms and calling things. So you gotta watch subterfuge, man, because Vinny is desperate to beat you guys.
Hey man, like I said, when you win, everyone's desperate to beat you. So we're prepared. We're gonna bubble up. We're gonna be in there playing cards, hanging out with other people. That was our strategy last year. We just hang out. It worked for us last year. We stay bubbled up and stay antisocial and do our own thing.
Right. Yeah, just a couple notes. Obviously, DJ Newbill is out for Team Brotherly Love. So I think we made that announcement yesterday on our daily roster updates. So Team Brotherly Love going through a little change, and then playing for Jimmy V. And probably the biggest news there is they're adding Jordan Swing, who's had a really nice overseas career after heading overseas. And so, both these teams going to be a dogfight. This is probably the first round game I'm most excited about in Illinois. So obviously, Golden Eagles, assuming they make it past the B1 Ballers, will be ready for the winner of that game. So let's see if anyone picked B1, Hainer.
Did anybody pick one? Then the survey says nope, no one picked B1. So we gave the B1 Ballers. We'll make sure we give them a photo of this to make sure they have the necessary bulletin board material.
Right.
But we're really split on the other game, though. So Charge, real quick, we gotta go to our next guest. But why was Jimmy V your pick?
Because they signed Jordan Swing, one of the greatest Charge players of all time, period. Now, I've told Vinny for a while. I mean, this is a coin toss. I know everybody's really high on Brotherly Love and should be ranked a little bit higher. Totally agree based on history. But I think Jimmy V, Vinny, those guys are just really amped up. They're playing after getting bumped from the bubble last year with COVID, looking for, a big win. I just think they're going to be a little more amped up. And I think they're going to push Team Brotherly Love, and it's going to be a narrow victory. Jordan Swing 3-pointer to win the game for.
There we go. And Coach Chapman, you like the picks, right, Coach Chapman?
This is look at it. I mean, no one knows. It's just split. Brotherly Love has 3, Jimmy V has 2. I mean, it can go any way. Like a fan, you just want a good game to represent TBT in the Elam Minden, especially in a first round matchup. That's all you can ask for a fan and as a coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously you can't look past B1, but as you prepare for Team Brotherly Love, Jimmy V, you probably peeked at those guys. Is one of these games you feel a better matchup for Golden Eagles versus the other, or you're just going to prepare for them both equally and see where it goes from there?
Yeah, I think you prepare for them both. Obviously, we know Brotherly Love a little bit better because we played them twice before. They were Talladega Knights, and then they were Brotherly Love. So we know them a little bit better, playing them twice already. Jimmy V, we've always been a fan of them guys. They play hard. They move the ball like we do. They play together. They got continuity. But again, you can't go past our first opponent. You got to prepare. We have a training camp here starting next week. We have 2-a-days for about 7 to 8 days, get these guys ready about what we do. And we do that every year. Win, lose, or draw, we want to make sure that we're prepared and we put our best foot forward.
And on putting your best foot forward, that's a great place to close off. Coach Chapman, thanks for swinging by ZoomTheTBT to prove you're region.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.